What's going on, Trojan Nation, and welcome back to another episode of Coliseum Chronicles. Casey Casliner here with Terrence Holton here on this wonderful Wednesday as USC football obviously is in the offseason, but of course, rosters are getting finalized, and of course, EA College Football 26 is set to come out in just a matter of time. Obviously, the game came out last year for the first time in over a decade, and it was fun, honestly. I don't own the game, but my roommates do have it, so I do play quite a bit. However, I think, now that we've gone through a year of it, it's been, we're come to a point where the ratings matter a lot more because I feel like we know, what the game is all about. So, Terrence, do you play it? What's your?
I 100% play. I bought it early last year. It comes out in a day, or no, not in a day. It comes out, this is the second 8 days from when we are recording this or streaming this, I should say. I'm excited about it, but we should jump into the USC rankings because I'll be honest, without spoiling anything, I think they disrespected USC personally, if these rankings are true.
Yeah, spoiler alert, we looked at the ratings together a little bit before, and we're just going to say USC was disrespected. Are we surprised, though? Like, USC feels
even a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, USC by the media, I feel like ever since they joined the Big Ten, and even when they were in the Pac-12, but like more recently with like the whole realignment thing, I feel like USC has been pointed as the bad guy, even though USC kind of had to leave the Pac-12 for, financial reasons that, it's pretty obvious. But I feel like the whole realignment thing has been blamed on USC, and I feel like that has led to a lot of disrespect on the field, on top of Lincoln Riley, not really
being mediocre.
But so without further ado, should we get into these rankings? I can share my screener if you want to as well.
I got it, yeah. Let's look at the USC rankings. These are USC's, these are unconfirmed, but this is what I've found for USC's rankings. I've used this website before and for last year's, and they were correct. There are some duplicates of people, but these are some of the rankings. The only two confirmed ones we have are Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane, as you see there, because the official USC Instagram account posted their ratings, 90 and 89. Let's jump right into it, Casey.
Yeah.
Do we think that's disrespectful to Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane? I think it might be.
You know what, partner? I agree. I think Makai Lemon not being on the top 100 is pretty disrespectful. I think he's, in my book, objectively, I think he is a 93. I think he's one of the best receivers in the country. And look, I mean, I think his speed is higher than 91. So I think that could bring him up to a 93. I think Jacoby Lane and Makai Lemon they're hard to stack up against each other just because we've talked about this many times. They're very different types of receivers.
Right.
However, with that being said, I think that Jacoby Lane is that 69 strength? Is that what the STR is? I think that's extremely low. He's like a big receiver, right? Like, he's not like a tight end, but I feel like him being that low is pretty disrespectful. I think Jacoby Lane's a 91. What do you think, though, with those two?
Yeah, I mean, to talk about Jacoby's strength, he is a little skinny. I'm not saying that 69 is too low, too high, I should say, but I'm not going to complain about that. I think right here, the change of direction for Makai Lemon, that's crazy disrespectful. Only 90 for a guy who averaged 27 and a half return yards on punts and kick returns. That's crazy to me. That's one of the best open field receivers there is in college football. The fact that he only has a 90 change of direction and a 91 speed, that's absurd. 93 acceleration, that's pretty decent, but I think that's crazy to me that Makai's that low. And we'll take a look later at just some of the other receivers that are rated higher than these two. I can't say I agree with a lot of them, to say the least. I mean, we'll see them, but there's a couple. I've talked about this. I think definitively the only person you can say is better than Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane is Jeremiah Smith, right?
Yeah. I mean, Ryan Williams is up there, but
I think Ryan Williams is overrated. That's maybe a hot topic, but like,
I agree, but he also is like the cover.
He is a little more proven. I agree. Yeah.
Also, so while you were talking there, I went ahead and searched up Georgia because I wanted to see Zachariah Branch and where they put him.
Oh,
because,
no.
He's an 88.
What? They were not watching the games we were watching last year. That's crazy. The guy dropped so many. Wait, what's his cat? Do you see like his actual stats?
Yeah,
What
I
is he?
saw it here. So he's 97 speed, which I guess makes sense.
Mhm.
98 agility, 97 change of direction. What else did you want to know?
What? Oh, I guess it doesn't have like his catching and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
That
guess.
should be like a 78. Like that guy dropped so many balls. Can you look up Florida State and Deuce Robinson real quick?
Yeah. And you know what? I want to do Penn State for Kyron Hudson too, because
Okay,
I
yeah,
feel
I'll do all those.
um
While you do that, I'll just look through some of these. Kamari Ramsey, I've seen this. He is not within the top 5 safeties in the game. That's crazy, right?
real.
Ramsey is probably a top 3 safety. I'm just trying to think of because Caleb Downs is one. I think Dylan Diamond from Oregon's pretty good. I mean, he's top 3 for sure, right?
Yeah.
He's an 88 overall. That's crazy. I think there's a lot of you'll see in these people right here. A lot of these guys are you'll see this year, especially Ramsey. That really just the top 3 in my opinion.
Yeah, so Deuce Robinson's actually not on the list. Interesting enough.
He's not on
As
Florida
far
State.
as what's that?
He's not on Florida State.
No, he's not on the list. And I don't
Interesting.
think Kyron Hudson's on the Penn
Interesting.
State list. So I
Hmm.
don't know about these former Trojans. We could see Bear Alexander for fun. If we
Like
so
Oregon is one of the top 10 defenses in the country, or in the game, I should say. I'm not going to say country, but game. Let's see where he stacks
I
up.
want you to guess what Bear Alexander is.
85.
Yep, he's an 85.
85. Okay. For a
Pretty
guy who
high.
played 3 games last year, that is pretty questionable. I'm
But
not going to lie.
he has 90 awareness though.
90 awareness. Dude, it's like, once again, like, are these EA people watching the same games that we are? Like, what's like his strength?
His strength, let's see, he's kind of low down on their list. They do 91 strength. So
For a guy who I watched get absolutely bodied by that Michigan O line, I know it was good, but that's crazy to me.
yeah.
Let's keep on moving down because there, like I mentioned, there's a lot of repeats in this, just
Yeah.
because this is an unofficial website. Mentioned Kamari Ramsey, DJ Harvey at an 88, the San Jose State transfer. Casey, how do you feel about that? A Bay Area guy.
Yeah, no, I've watched DJ Harvey before, and he's talented. But my question is, can he translate to the Big Ten level? The
Right.
Mountain West is not a conference that's known for its wide receivers. I mean, Nick Nash, I guess, but he was on the same team as
Same team.
DJ Harvey.
Hey,
So
practice. Iron sharpens iron.
yeah, I guess you're right. But yeah, no, he's a really good player, and I mean, I think the USC secondary could be really good, especially with the departure of Jalen Smith. Even though he's gone, I think they could be really good with him and Ramsey, Harvey, that is. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair rating. Maybe a little bit higher than I expected, but I'm not going to scoff at that at all.
Yeah, 100%. What about this one? Because our comment section has been really high on Wayman Jordan, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but Eli Sanders at an 87, a guy who has gotten little to no attention from USC fans, in my opinion, at least. A guy who had over 1,100 yards last year was it New Mexico or New Mexico State?
It was the Lobos.
New Mexico. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
87. How do we feel about that? I think this. Sorry to just interrupt.
You're good.
We started. I think this USC team is going to be fun to play on offense. They have the number 21 offense in the game, ranked that is. So I think they're going to be fun. Look at Harvey. You can run some play action, some read option. I love those with Jade Maava and Eli Sanders. So
yeah, and before I answer, I forgot to even mention Chasen Johnson too. I feel like could surprise some people on the defensive side. I forgot to mention him on the quarterback because I was like, who'd they get from UCF again? And it was Chasen Johnson. But back to your question about Sanders, so Waymon Jordan's not on this list, which you and I maybe were thinking he's not in the game, or maybe like it takes, I don't know, like he's a JUCO guy, so like there could be some weird like NIL waiver he has to do. I don't know.
It's also possible that just this list is incomplete, just because it's an unofficial website.
That is also very possible. I mean, Eli Sanders, I'll be honest, I didn't watch much of New Mexico football this year, but he seemed like he was one of the best one of the best running backs in that conference. And I mean, again, we just haven't really seen much of him though. But I think based on pure like raw skill, he's a very high upside running back. And look, USC has done a really good job with these transfer running backs these past few years, and really forever. I mean, not just transfers, with running backs in general. They are tailback university. And these past few years, I mean, last year, Woody Marks, Quentin Joyner. I mean, like one of those they developed
Lloyd the year before.
Yeah, Marshall, and even Austin Jones, like,
Mm-hmm.
they were both very good. And I think it shows that they're good at developing running backs like Quentin Joyner, but also good at bringing some in. Like, Woody Marks, he was, in my opinion, one of the best running backs in the country just because he could receive the ball as well. So, I mean, I think that's a big part of what Eli Sanders is going to have to do to keep a rating like this. He's going to have to, go out in the flats and catch a lot of balls, because we know that, Lincoln Riley loves those slip screen plays where, the running back is available to be a pass catcher.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. With all of that, I think Eli said he wasn't that great of a receiver at New Mexico. I want to say he had only like 150, 160 receiving yards last year. But you never know. In Lincoln Riley's game can always evolve. Let's look at some others though. How about Lake McCree in 87? He was pretty high last year too. Jade Mayava in 86.
That's a one that I'm sure will be polarizing among fans, because I think, there's some people that think like Jade Mayava could be a Heisman contender. And then there's some people.
Wait, sorry. I did see under a video of ours from a while ago. It was like, and this is not disrespecting this person at all. It's just someone said I could see like, tell me why Jaden Mayava couldn't have a Joe Burrow type of season. And I'm not saying that that's just wrong. That's just a lot to ask for. And I think that's a general consensus of what USC fans may be expecting from Jaden Mayava.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow had, the best team on
probably. Yeah, he had like one of the greatest teams college football has ever seen. So
yeah,
that's probably why he can't have a Joe Burrow type of season.
I mean, he could have a great season, and I mean, he's going to have to. He's a guy that, could very well declare for the NFL draft, probably will, especially if he has a good season, unless, he doesn't, maybe he'll transfer out or go somewhere else. Moving ahead, though, Brian Jackson at 81. So now you think, wow, so you have Sanders at 87, Jackson at 81. And not that 81's a great rating, but knowing that, Brian Jackson is a power back, a guy that, isn't super fast anyways. Like, you even need Waymon Jordan at that point? That's kind of a joke. But, like, you have two really good – I mean, their running back room is probably one of the best in the country, just of sheer volume.
Volume wise, I guess, when you put it that way. I'm just trying to think of other good running back. Yeah, probably. I mean, it's definitely up there. It's hard to compete with, like, Oregon's got a great room, Penn State, Notre Dame. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to compete with those two. But I in USC has play one of them. What about Anthony Lucas at 81? I feel like that's kind of low. In my opinion.
I agree. A guy who was having a phenomenal year last year. I think 81's a little low. I'd put him around an 84-ish. Definitely our best edge rusher. I'm a little surprised. He is the third, best defensive player on this rating. I would have had Eric Gentry a little higher. Maybe I think Lucas is great, but I think Eric Gentry's better. But I still would have had Anthony Lucas higher.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, even if you go down the list a bit, like, this might sound kind of funny, but like Caden Chittenden, the kicker, is like one of the best kickers in the country.
It's possible he's not on this list too. Like we keep saying, this is an unofficial list that I found the other day.
Well, no, he's a 76. He's a 76. Which
is he? Okay, never mind. I didn't scroll that far.
Yeah. So again, I mean, even like some of the offensive line, like I know Tobias Raymond improved a lot down the stretch, and he's only a 74. So
Field 79.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, like,
repeats 4 times.
Yeah. Like some of these receivers that we've talked about before that might get time when, like, guys don't want, Jacoby Lane takes a snap off or something, and like a guy like Xavier Jordan comes in. Where does he stack up in the game? I think that could be interesting, just because his role is going to be really elevated this year. So just think about it.
No, you obviously haven't played EA college football as much as I did last year. Using USC, if any of you have out there have played like USC, done like a dynasty, all right, Xavier Jordan was like an all-time player, because he would, at the end of like 2 years, he had like 93 speed and like 99 acceleration. So you just run like jet sweeps with him, and he was so good. So always gonna shout out my boy for that. I think he's like a 72 in this.
Okay.
Yeah, Prince Drawn is in here like 5 times. Cameron Fountain. Yeah, that makes sense. 79 for Cameron Fountain. I'd put him at 81.
Yeah, I put him in the 80s. Yeah, I agree with you.
Jay Fair makes an appearance. Jay Fair with the fastest speed on the team so far with 92.
I don't know about that. I think Mekhi Lemon is probably faster than him. Again, I don't have data to back this up, but based on pure optics, is Jay Fair the fastest receiver on the team or the fastest player on the team?
Oh, it's got to be Mekhi Lemon.
Yeah,
right?
it's got to be Mekhi.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Xavier Jordan's probably faster than Jay Fair, if we're being honest. He's younger.
Oh, well, he might be, yeah. Are you saying Jay Fair's old? Jay Fair's legs can't keep up with him.
He's a little old. He's been around for a while.
What about Ja Jarrett at a 77? That kind of feels fair. He is a huge like run filler type of guy, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, he's not putting a lot of stats on paper.
John Reed is a little low to me. I feel like he's like, the center that USC needed. And he was really good at a Syracuse team that he had to protect Kyle McCord, and he's not very mobile, and he did a really good job. So
yeah. Desmond Stevens, 76 for sure, a breakout candidate right there.
Yeah.
Yep. Anthony Beaver, 76. We're starting to get into like the lower rankings. John Absari, another guy, totally could have a great year.
I feel like USC finally has a kicker too. Like I feel like these past few years, at least when me and you have been students, like Dennis Lynch and Michael Lance.
We're done with the tyranny of Dennis Lynch, so that's always a good start.
Dude, and Michael Lance too, man. Like
Michael Lance was good. Okay, well,
he had no range.
No, remember against Minnesota, he hit like a 50-yarder.
Okay, that was impressive, but he also missed.
He missed
Penn State though. Remember that? That was
I do remember that. I just that was another thing that was just like I knew that was coming too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's look at it. So Tobias Raymond, Alani Noah, 74. Yikes. The offensive line is not going to be good in the game. I'm not saying they won't be good in real life, but in the game, it will be hard for Jaden Mayava to throw.
That's unfortunate.
Harry Dalton, the freshman. Now we're getting into freshman. Kendi Erlacher, another guy who I can see.
He's low.
He's a little low. I guess he hasn't played that much. Walter Matthews. Here's Xavier Jordan. 90 speed.
Okay.
I think this one's acceleration. 91 acceleration. So he's not as good as he used to be. That is disappointing because he was so good in Dynasty mode.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's weird for them to make him lower than what he was last year when he was a true freshman.
Yeah, it's a little strange. And yeah, once here, Marquise Gallegos, you can see him being higher. And the rest of these, it's likely guys who won't get on the field. Isaiah Rubin, Joey Olsen, shout out.
What about Zacharias Williams? He was the Utah.
Yeah.
He's 60.
Oh, well, that feels disrespectful. He had a pretty good year at Utah.
Yeah, with on the back.
Like we said, not all the players on here, and these are not confirmed. Hank Pepper, the long snapper, disrespectful, 60. Yeah, that's about it. That's all the players that are confirmed in the game. I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. Those are just confirmed ones. We don't know that those rankings are true now that I've said confirmed. But there will be more. I'll play the game for sure when it comes out in a week. USC, I don't know if it'll be my first team. I feel like I got to work my way up to get that USC job, Start at like a South Florida type of thing, work my way up to USC, Yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
But Casey, we should take a look at a second for the college football, the top 100 rankings, because I'm just pulling this up. I think it was, as we've talked about, pretty disrespectful to USC. So I'm going to share my screen here. I don't know if any of our viewers have seen this. So these are the top 100 rankings for the college football players. So, you got your Jeremiah Smiths, Caleb Downs, these all make sense. Let's go to a filter. Let's put the teams here. Where's the Big Ten? Big Ten all the way down here. USC, apply filters. 0 results. Not a single player from USC in the top 100. All right, yeah, Josh, they definitely snub USC. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous. And I mean, we can go through this list, but there's a lot of names on here that you look at them and you're like, wow, Makai Lemon is better than this person.
Yeah, let's take a look here. Let's take a look for a second at the receivers. We'll take a look at the receivers. We'll take a look at the quarterbacks. We'll even look at the running backs. Why not? So let's reset filters, position, and wide receiver. All right, let's look. These are the wide receivers ranked in the top 100. Casey, how many receivers do you see here who you can definitively say are better than Makai Lemon?
2. I mean,
2?
That's it.
Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams?
Yeah. I mean, even Jordan Tyson, I don't think is better than Makai Lemon, respectfully.
Yeah, I think these are some crazy rankings. Elijah Surratt, are we serious? It was a guy on an Indiana team who had barely better stats than Makai Lemon in a larger role than him. That doesn't make any sense. Jordan Tyson, I could see him being up there competition-wise with Makai Lemon. A lot of these guys are so unproven, though. Malachi Fields, really, he's not better than Makai Lemon. Denzel Boston, close. Eric Singleton, maybe. I'm seeing a whole lot of maybes, Casey. I'm not seeing a lot of guys who are definitively better.
I don't think Denzel Boston's better than him. I think based on pure skill, like I think Makai Lemon clears most of this list. Because I think you look at some of their ratings, and like Denzel Boston has 89 speed when we think that Makai Lemon could really be up to probably a 92. And I think so. What actually matters for a receiver, like speed and catching ability, is not on here, right? Like that's just
the catch is it's
Makai
just
Lemon,
like physical stuff,
which is kind of stupid in my opinion. Because as we were talking about with Zachariah Branch, there are guys who just drop balls, like Deuce Robinson too, right? Makai Lemon doesn't drop balls.
Yeah. Neither does Jacoby Lane for that matter. I just think by the end of the season, obviously the rankings will update. Once we start getting Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane in their expanded roles that we think they are going to be in, I think they're going to pass a lot of these guys. I think they're going to shoot up NFL draft boards. You know, we talked about last week, Lemon is number 1 on PFF's big board right now for receivers. I still think that they are going to raise in rankings, that is. Let's anything else on here, Casey? Because we can look at the quarterbacks too.
Let's go on to quarterbacks.
Okay, sounds good. Here, I am not going to go on the EA one. I'm going to go to On3 on Twitter, though, because they have the top 20 quarterbacks on here. So let's take a look at this. So the top 20 quarterbacks in college football 26. What stands out to you, Casey?
Okay, so I think when you look through like the top, Arch Manning's not going to be in the game, right? Or no, he is. Never mind.
He's right there.
Yeah, sorry. I remember like he was not going to be in it initially.
He wasn't even last year initially.
Yeah. Okay. Why is Arch Manning not the highest, first of all? Just like being honest. I mean, he's the consensus number 1 pick and Heisman. So that's interesting. Jake Retzlaff being on here with no team. Like, I don't even know how he's going to be in the game, but that would be interesting. But Nico Iamaleava. Are we being for real here?
Yeah. Dude, that dude is a very solid quarterback. He's not going to have any weapons at UCLA. I saw a stat. He only had like 4 touchdowns in SEC play or something. No, 4 touchdowns in SEC play outside of when they played Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Like, are we serious? Like, most of his stats came from when they played Toledo and Kent State.
Yeah,
like, he's a solid quarterback, but really?
I think Carson Beck is overrated too here. I think Carson Beck being higher than Arch Manning. Yeah, Arch Manning being lower than Carson Beck is ridiculous. I think Lagway is also kind of underrated. I feel like his team not being super amazing hurts him. So I think the left side of this list is better than the right side, if we're being honest here.
What about Blake Horvath? He was very solid last year for Navy, led them to one of their best years in program history. I bring this up with a lot of quarterbacks. He can't really throw the ball downfield. And of course, that's Navy's offense. But how are you going to put him in the top 20 quarterbacks if he can't throw the ball?
I mean, Drew Aller doesn't really have a great arm either, but
he's a better quarterback than Blake Horvath.
No, I agree with you there, but it's only a 2 rating difference. So I think we're saying the same thing. Yeah. Diego Pavia too, like being
Dude. Diego Pavia, I say this with lots of guys. Diego Pavia, he is a good quarterback. Half of what he does is half of why he is rated so high, why people throw his name into dark horse Heisman contenders is because of like after when they beat Alabama. And that's no small feat, don't get me wrong. But he was after that interview he had on CBS afterward. That is half of the reason that he is rated so high.
yeah. Okay, let me ask you this, because you asked me the same question. Where does Jaden Mayava go on this list? Is he in the top 20?
Top 20 quarterbacks in the country.
Because we also don't see Dante Moore's not on here, right?
Dante Moore, Julian Sayin.
Damond Williams is not on here. I mean, I don't think he hasn't broken out yet.
There's a lot of unproven guys that we're talking about. I'd say no, just because, like we mentioned, but I do think he's a top 20 quarterback in the country. It's just he's unproven compared to a lot of these. To what?
Yeah. Miller Moss. I mean, he's another.
No disrespect to Miller, but no. Come on.
Fair enough. No, I mean, I'm just throwing names out there that you could funnel into maybe 18, 19, 20. What about Caden Salter at 88 overall, 15th ranked?
That feels crazy for me, for a guy who didn't really do anything at the Power 5 level, was obviously very good at Liberty, but now he's at Colorado, and does he have a secure job? Do we know that that's his job? I mean, what's his name? Julian Lewis is right. It could very much win that job for Coach Prime.
I think he's probably won that job, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's so much hype around Julian Lewis. Some of it I think is overrated, but I think most of it is. But I don't know.
I find it interesting how there's like a lot of guys who went from the group of 5 level to Power 4 this year who are high up there. Look at Darian Mensah, John Mateer. I'm not saying they don't deserve it. Caden Salter. I just think I find that interesting. I think Rocco Becht is overrated. Solid player. I don't think he's better than Jaden Mayava. He doesn't do anything particularly special. As I've mentioned before, I think Mayava is kind of just like a budget Caleb Williams, but that's not a bad thing at all. And I think that allows him to do. It makes games more interesting for sure. But I think it allows him to do more.
I'm baffled. Why is Arch Manning so low when everyone, is like he's the best player in the country at any position?
I think a ton of this is just based off potential. A lot of the guys lower are unproven guys. Like we mentioned, Dante Moore, Julian Sayin, Jaden Mayava, and even Arch Manning. They've shown a lot less than a lot of these other guys. I think that might be it.
That could be it. Yeah. I mean, certainly interesting list. I mean, Sawyer Robertson too at the final spot. So yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on this?
No, I don't think Avery Johnson's that good. I think he's fine. I think he's in 88, but I wouldn't put him in 89. Another guy who suffers from not being able to throw the ball downfield that well. Kevin Jennings is good. I like him. No, nothing else really for this.
Okay, so did we have one more list we want to look at, or?
I think that was it. That was the main ones.
Yeah, I mean, what are your overall? So we looked at like 3 different lists, plus like even like other USC players. Actually, are there any other like former USC players you want to look at on this? I mean, we could look at Miller Moss's rating.
Oh, that is yeah. Hold on, let me Google the Louisville. Let's see if we can find Miller Moss.
I can pull it up as well.
Okay, here, let me pull it up.
Yeah.
Football. What do you think it's going to be?
So I'm actually looking at it.
Oh, I don't think he's in it. You want to share it?
Well, he's not in it.
Of course.
Their highest player is Isaac Brown, running back. Yeah, is there anyone else former USC? I mean, it sucks that all these guys.
No one else we can really slander. We got through our slander list of Bear Alexander. That's really the only guy.
What about Quentin Joyner? I mean, I feel like that's
Texas Tech is very good in the game. I bet he's pretty good. Let's see.
Texas Tech. It's weird how they don't have like the quarterback in the game for a power ACC team. Quinn Joyner looks like he's an 86. Okay, interesting. I think that's fair.
That sounds about right. Yeah. If he were on USC, do you think he'd be higher? Just because bigger name?
No, I think it'd be lower because of the disrespect to USC.
Of course, yeah. Because I mean, everyone is out to get us. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
that's about it,
that's
I guess.
about it. Yeah. If anyone else has any other comments, questions, we're happy to stick around for a couple more minutes. Like we've mentioned, this show moves around a ton because Casey and I have very busy schedules this summer. Once we get closer to the season, of course, we'll have 2 shows a week, and it'll be a lot more consistent of the day time. It'll be at a better time than 11 o'clock in the morning, like we have been doing. So,
Yeah, we'll have a lot more coverage, especially during the season when both of us will be at games. So that'll be really exciting, and it's going to be an interesting season. I mean, we've talked about pretty much everything under the sun we could talk about at USC. So make sure to go through the playlist and watch the other videos if you haven't already.
But that is going to do it for us here at USC Voice of College Football, Coliseum Chronicles Live. I'm Terrence Holton. Casey Kasler joining us. Everyone, have a good one. We'll see you next week.